Hey everyone, well, welcome back to another episode of Working on the Combine Cage. Well, as you can see, probably since my last video, try to get you set up there that way. Okay, well, I hope you can see from that angle, approximately. Trying to use a pair of pliers to hold my camera in place, but we'll see how well that works. But as you can see, I've gotten all this here pulled back in, and these all welded up. I will be taking a grinder and smoothing this out. But right now I want to work on this last piece right here, getting this bent back in. And actually, this will probably be about the last video I shoot of moving this in, because once I get that all pulled in and for the most part straightened up, I'll be back to welding. And as I've said before, I don't want to be using my camera with the welder. I'm not sure if all that arc and bright light would actually burn my camera up or not. And so I don't want to try that. And so if I get a chance to, I do have to put some helical bar into the front part of the cage, and so maybe I can shoot a video on that once I actually get ready to put that bar in. Now let's see if we can get the old smoke wrench up and going. There we are. Come on, there we are. Okay, what I want to do is heat up a few of these point squares, especially this one right here, here, and there, and maybe on up to about right here. And that way that'll bend and flex back in. In fact, I actually come to think if I want to heat this point up and then down over here also, because we are broke right there at that spot too. This one here is not, and so but I do need to go ahead and heat this part right here up as well. But like I say, I will be taking the grinder in here and smoothing out my welds. And that way there's nothing that crop material or rye straw, for example, this coming summer can actually hang up and get caught on. Which actually, thankfully, doing rye with this thing, it does make for a kind of a nice fall time pre-run, I guess you could call it. And I'm just glad I found this break before I do rye, because trying to work on this, yep, what's the bump knob? But trying to work on this in the summertime, when it's hot out, and especially after rye, when this cage is full of rye dust, that would not be very fun. If you've ever worked around rye dust, it's about like fiberglass insulation. It'll make you scratch like a flea-bitten hound dog. Thankfully, right now, all I got to put up with is a little bit of corn dust, not much, because I took the air gun, blew everything all out, and cleaned this cage all out about as good as I could in the areas that I needed for any kind of fire potential. Yeah, just trying to heat that whole strip up right there. That way, once I hook my pry bar into it, it should bend, in theory. We'll wait and see. All right, let's see if this here will do anything. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Yep, I'm gonna have to. I thought anyway. It's easier said than done trying to sit in here, half on my knees and halfway leaning onto my one elbow and work. I may have to get my other pry bar. And let's see if this pry bar here will do any better. I've got to start down at the bottom and kind of begin to work my way up. Okay, come on. Maybe not. Well, you know what? I may actually have to take and put a pry bar, a ratchet strap into that outside, because that is not wanting to come out too easy. And that red stuff is that smokiness where they bump that knob. I'm not sure why it reacts like that. Yep, got that corn chaff right there burning, right there behind that helical. A little bit of smoke. I got a little bit of movement out of that. It's easier said than done when you're trying to find every point that needs to be bent. I'm trying to hit every one and trying to keep them all warm at the same time. It's easier said than done. That's slowly getting that bent back in. Well, like I say, it's tricky sitting in here trying to hold my torch head steady and trying to balance. Okay, I got some of that pulled in. I gotta start warming up this top part. See if I can start getting that to get brought back in. I'm trying to keep that as level as possible. There we go. Hey, now that's doing it. Or it's doing something anyway. All right. Well, if you can see very well right there on camera, what happened when this broke, I've got that swung back shut about as good as I can get. But this one right here, and even that piece right there kind of stretched. And, well, now they don't want to swing back in, come back shut. And so, I'm trying to keep that about as smooth as possible. And so what I may actually end up doing is taking the welder and essentially just welding that smooth right across there, right from down there. Just basically just fill that all up with weld, and that'll smooth that out. Because I don't want to try and actually cut that off, then have to reset it back on there. That can actually make it weaker, as opposed to simply welding it right where it's at. And like I say, bridge across that with weld, and weld it all up with weld. And so, but let me get my phone. There we are. As you can see, compared to when I had that thing open, when I started, that's got that pretty well across there. As far as being smooth anyway. What I may end up doing, I can see just a little bit, is I may heat this point up right through here and bring that in just a fraction, not much, and see if that'll kind of smooth things out. But right here on this point right here, and I may actually heat these up and make sure they're straight and level across. And the same way this point right here, then like I say, I'll probably just take and bridge it and fill the entire thing full of weld. And like I say, all this cage area out here on the outside, I'm going to weld all this on the outside. That way we're welded inside and outside for extra strength. And then I'll be doing the same thing here as well. I'll be welding all that on the outside to make sure it's all strengthened. But as you can see, shooting approximately straight across there, that's got that pretty well pulled in. And then like I say, once I get welding on it, I'll level that up with the welder and actually just bridge it right straight across, fill them gaps up, problem solved. Because you can't exactly shrink that back down. And so, anyway, but like I say, this will probably be about the last video that I shoot on this part right here, because now I'm down to pretty much just basically welding. And so, next video I take, I will probably, well, by that time I'll probably already have been in here at the grinder, smooth all this inside down, and we'll jump around over here to the front part of the cage, where I'm going to be putting some pieces of helical bar into. And once again, the helical is this part right here. Looks like a piece of concave, but it's what gives the cage that spiral, just like what you see coming from that end where the feeder house chain is right there coming up. But that's the helical up on the top. Like I said, it spirals down and feeds the crop mat this way. And so, like I say, next video I shoot, I will probably be working on putting some helical here on the back, because I think that's actually what caused my problem to break, and what caused this cage to break. Had a lot of guys tell me on my Facebook groups that they thought it might have been either a rock or a chunk of steel or something like that go through. Well, the problem is, though, first off, in our area, thankfully, we don't have rocks. Only unless you're along like a ditch or where an old foundation or building once stood. Other than that, though, we're for the most part rock-free. And as far as any kind of metal, nothing's gone through. And because nothing is missing. However, right here is where the last piece, I've got one more helical bar I've got to put back in up here. And I think what happened was here on the back, when I overhauled this cage 2 years ago in the winter of 2020, I took these pieces of helical out on theory to kind of take and slow crop material from transitioning through the rotor too fast and throwing grain out through the chopper. Well, I think what happened was it actually slowed the crop mat down a little too much, and it caused, instead of the crop mat coming up off the concave, coming over, transitioning over this way, coming down those front helicals, it was coming back up and around straight across and actually causing a pinch point where this crop mat here was running right into that crop mat from that coming from that way. And it was coming together right here and just literally is jamming together right here, because I can see some stress cracks. And the stress cracks in the cage wall line up exactly where those two areas of crop mat were coming together at, and literally just jamming and packing so tightly in there, it started breaking it. And so, like I say, that's why I actually want to take and put that helical back here on the back, and that'll help to bring that crop mat this way, and then they won't actually be coming together and literally doubling up right here in this area. And so, like I say, that'll be my next video, working on helical, because pretty much for right now, I'm going to be welding. Take care.